If someone handed you a box and told you, inside this box is something worth more than every phone, every car, every brand, every scholarship, every dollar you could ever earn, would you open it? Now imagine you open it, and inside is something so valuable, so life-changing, so powerful, that you would gladly give up everything else just to keep it. Matthew 13:42. The kingdom of heaven is like treasure hidden in a field. When a man found it, he hid it again, and then in his joy went and sold all he had and bought that field. Notice something important. The man wasn't looking for the treasure. He just found it. And when he realized its value, everything changed. He didn't hesitate. He didn't negotiate. He didn't say, "Let me think about it." It says in his joy he sold everything, not in fear, not under pressure, not because someone forced him, but because he understood value. Here's the one clear idea. When you truly understand who Jesus is, surrender stops being scary. It becomes joyful. Most youth here give your life to Jesus and think, I have to give up fun. I have to give up popularity. I have to give up relationships. I have to give up my dreams. But what if we've misunderstood the trade? The man didn't lose everything. He traded everything. There's a difference. When you trade a broken bike for a brand new car, you didn't lose a bike, you gained something greater. When you trade temporary approval for eternal purpose, you didn't lose popularity. You gained identity. When you trade sin for peace, you didn't lose freedom. You gained freedom for real. The treasure represents the kingdom of heaven, a life with God. It represents forgiveness, purpose, eternal life, clean heart, secure identity, relationship with Jesus. And here's where we go deeper. Why don't more people sell everything? Because not everyone sees the treasure as treasure. Some people see Jesus as an option, him as a rule book, him as a Sunday activity, him as boring. But when you truly encounter him, you see him as priceless. And here's the strong emotion tonight. Desire. What does your heart desire most? Be honest. Is it attention? Someone texting you back, fitting in, being admired, money, success, being that person everyone talks about? None of those things are evil by themselves, but they are not treasure. They fade, they break, they disappoint, they leave you empty. The man in the story recognized something eternal. And I want you to notice something else. He bought the whole field. Why? Because you can't partially own treasure. You can't say, I want Jesus, but I also want my sin. I want heaven, but I also want to live my way. I want God's blessings, but I don't want his authority. The man didn't buy part of the field. He didn't lease it. He didn't visit it occasionally. He gave everything. That's surrender. And surrender sounds heavy until you see the treasure. When you truly encounter Jesus, lust loses its shine, bitterness feels heavy, peer pressure feels small, sin starts to feel like trash compared to treasure. Not because someone scared you, but because your eyes opened. Some of you are holding on to things that are costing you more than you realize. Certain friendships, habits, secret sins, mindsets, dreams that don't include God. And you think letting go will leave you empty. But what if letting go is the only way to grab the treasure? The man didn't walk away sad. He walked away joyful. Why? Because he understood something most people don't. Temporary sacrifice for eternal gain is never a loss. Let me make it personal. If following Jesus costs you some friends but gives you peace, is it worth it? If following Jesus costs you popularity but gives you purpose, is it worth it? If following Jesus costs you certain habits but gives you freedom from guilt, is it worth it? That's the question, is Jesus worth everything? Because here's the truth. If he's just part of your life, he's not your treasure. Your treasure is what you protect, what you prioritize, sacrifice for. Think about chase. So what are you chasing? This verse isn't about money. It's about value. The man didn't regret his decision because he knew what he gained was greater than what he gave up. And when you see Jesus clearly, not religion, not rules, not pressure, but Jesus loving, holy, powerful, forgiving, faithful, your heart begins to desire him more than anything else. And when that happens, obedience becomes natural. Worship becomes real. Prayer becomes alive. Surrender becomes freedom. So here's your call to action. Tonight ask yourself honestly, have I really seen the treasure? Or am I still treating Jesus like an accessory? If there's something in your life you know is keeping you from fully owning that field, it's time to release it. Not because you're forced, but because you found something better. Choose treasure over trends. Choose eternity over moments. Choose purpose over popularity. Choose Jesus over everything. Because when you truly understand his value, giving him everything doesn't feel like losing your life. It feels like finally finding it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to Sight Kids and Niños con Visión.